and welcome. I'm Gratiela Rosu, and I will be talking to you today about emotions, about healing, and how can you reach the state that you try to reach in shorter time and with long-lasting results. One of my main specialties is depression. People from all over the world, either through email or video chat or face-to-face, come to see me after years, some of them after 20, even 40 years of therapies without success. I have helped people treating unexplainable medical conditions, doctors. In fact, one of my first clients was a medical doctor. My methods are somewhat unusual. I am a trained master hypnotherapist. I'm a psychotherapist. I am a coach. I have gone through all kinds of courses, NLP, energy medicine, and so on. But I'm doing what I'm doing as a calling and not necessarily as a profession, because my initial profession, my initial education was in law juridical science in two countries, in Romania and in the UK. I'm doing what I'm doing today after a near-death experience which has shattered my worldview, which has completely turned my life upside down, and which sent me on a quest of not necessarily self-discovery, because that I've learned it through this experience, but of trying to make sense of what I've learned, what I've seen in this experience. Hence, going to all kinds of courses and seminars and trainings and trying to find people who have been through similar experiences as mine, and if not that, at least hoping to find people that would teach me what I haven't completely understood from this experience. What I have found was that everybody had a bit of truth. Everybody knew a bit about what I've seen in this incredible experience. But their view was like looking through the keyhole, very, very reductive, and often in contradiction with the rest. So from an exclusive point of view, mine is right, yours is wrong. This is what the general medicine does today. The materialistic view, our point of view are right, and all the alternative medicine and natural medicine is wrong, is quackery, it's so on and so forth. On the other hand, the alternative medicine, given that this schism has already been created, they take as a proper reflection of the duality we are living in, they take the exclusivist approach as well. General medicine, allopathic medicine, it's all bad. Everything that medicine does, you should run away from. So we ended up now in 2019 in a situation where you have left fighting with right for who has the right to, who is more right to be part of the body, basically. This is what the two branches do, and this is what science does in general, and this is what every single other field, whether we talk about the New Age, and then everybody has a fragment, and they take that fragment to be as the whole. And this is what I've seen, this is the big revelation that I've seen during this experience, during this near-death experience, which was unlike every other near-death experience that you hear on the internet. It wasn't a white tunnel. I didn't meet any beautiful creature, any white bearded guard. I didn't meet any dead relatives. Because I went all the way back to source, and source doesn't have an anthropomorphic figure. Source, it's a pulsating, I mean, it's indescribable, but the closest I could give you, it's an incredible pulsating energy that could take whatever form, whatever shape you want, and could take none at the same time, and it doesn't have at the same time as having all the other forms amongst which ourselves. And the values and the good, bad, and things like that, they don't exist in there, but they showed me, they speak it, in the book Conversation itself. They act as a plural because they manifest in multiples, and as such, they don't speak like an egomaniac in I, the God. They speak from the multilateral point of view, because they are, as in we are, multiples. So, coming back to my approach has been basically dictated by this knowledge, by this discovery while transcending and seeing how things are, and on the other hand, discovery during all this during these years of training, learning, seminars, and looking at the way other people were doing things. So I'm coming from both angles, and I understand both. I understand why this schism and why this fight will never cease to exist, as long as the alternative medicine rejects the merit of the allopathic medicine, and as long as allopathic medicine rejects the merits of any other intervention apart from their own. Even if science would be so arrogant, and scientists would be so arrogant to say that they have discovered everything that there is to be discovered, and they know everything that there ever is to be known, which that would be a kind of a contradiction, with the aim of science, but never mind. Then we could say their position is as it is, but then it would be a declaration of ignorance just by that statement. So we cannot take this we have to stop this silly fight of who is righter and whose is bigger, because every single one of us has a part to play in it. As Self showed me during this excursion that they took me through the whole creation and the mechanisms of life, and especially of human life, of illness and health, of healing, what healing and illness are. In fact, they say they don't even exist. Healing doesn't exist because illness doesn't exist. Or if we want, we look, as they showed me, we look at, I was working at the time on a program for depression. I was trying my mightest to capture, to put in human words what I've done when I came out of this horrendous depression that I've been through. And they gave me one over the head, and they said, but you haven't healed from anything. What you have done, you just woke up. So, and then another series of conversations took place in which they showed me, which are all telepathic, in which they showed me, as long as we keep talking about healing or treatment, as long as we keep looking for a cure, we are looking at the wrong thing. We are looking from the wrong prism, perception. We have the wrong perception, because to look for cures and to try to heal something is to acknowledge first that there is an illness, and then furthermore to acknowledge that the illness is something static, is something in itself against which you deploy your might trying to heal. Or that's not the case. the human being is not a thing, it's a process which generates, through its interaction, through its experience, loads, myriads of other processes, amongst which is one which culminates in what we call illness. You sing the bad tunes, you will have a cacophony, and then nobody's gonna be in the opera to listen to it. Or the sound will be so horrendous, it's gonna drive everybody mad, and people will start hitting each other. This is what is going on within our bodies, with ourselves. Every emotion, every thought have their own sound, have their own melody, if you want. So depending on our states, depending on our emotions, depending on our thoughts, we emit all these kind of sounds, which put together, they create this horrendous sound that drives nuts all the cells, and then at some point they just become, and then add to that, imagine the self-deprecating thoughts and emotions, the self-hate, the self-aggression, then the aggression towards others. But when we have this shame, guilt, which we should have until we look, I'm not saying get rid like all the others and they're just all new age and everything is love, and then no. In fact, self showed me that that's not the case. We have to take responsibility for everything we feel, for the things, that the situation that put us into a state of suffering. Whether somebody did something to us to hurt us, we have to take our part of responsibility to see what have we caused, what have we done, in what state were we, what needs didn't we had met, that we did everything and so wrong to accept to be with that person, hoping for what? This is what happened to relationships. You get into a relationship, people say it is because they got in love. Why did you get in love with that person in the first place? What did you love in that person? What were your hopes? What were your wishes? What are your secret hopes? What are your needs that you hope that person would meet for you? What are the holes that you thought and you hope that person is going to fill? See, this is normally the basis of relationships. It is just this unspoken, unadmitted, secret, personal lacks that we hope the other is coming to fill them in. Hence, my other half. So we start already when we look at a relationship, we start from a point of a handicapped person, a half person, and I need to find my other half. So I'm the left leg, you are the right leg, and we are going to make a whole body. So that's the message that is behind my method. That's why also I managed so quickly to get people out of the most horrendous depression, the psychosomatic conditions of thyroid ganglions, diabetes 2, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and many schizophrenia, panic attacks, and so on, because I have this higher view of a non-judgmental view, where I see both. I see the spiritual and I see the material. And spiritual, from my point of view at least, and from what I've seen during this experience, is very much scientific. It's not airy-fairy, it's not angels and harps, it's just science. It's pure science, but at a higher level. So and it's knowledge, it's pure knowledge. When I was talking about that program for depression that I was trying to write And when they told me there is no healing, because I didn't heal from anything, I just woke up. And they said, if anything heals, it's not true that love heals. Love is still in duality, because you need hate to have love, to speak of love. As beautiful as and as high as an highest of emotions as it could be, it's not the ultimate. Knowledge is the summum of everything, because you can have love and be an ignorant, but you cannot be knowing. You cannot be at the highest level of consciousness and not love. So knowledge is the one that heals, i.e. It just changes the lenses of your perception and helps you see there where you didn't see, or help you see correctly, so that your interpretation of the facts, of the wrongs that you thought were done against you, etc., clarify, and as by magic, your whole being readjusts to balance, because you're no longer having that yucky feeling, those knots, though they want me bad, they want me to fail because of whatever. You don't have anymore that narrative, that crazy narrative, self-destructive narrative going on, because you actually see things for what they are and not for what they appear, or not for what you and your wrong beliefs interpreted it to be. Coming back to this very, very unique approach that I have, all my programs are 8 weeks. 8 weeks, whether it's by email, by video chat, or face to face. 8 weeks in which you'll go from absolute zero, from everything that you knew and you didn't know about yourself, to learning how to and to experiment, to put in practice, because it's not just sitting on your armchair and talking your heart to death, because that's not, that's the old school, that's the old way. But practice, it is very much an organic way of being, just like as life is. As Self said, you are not meant to be in therapy, because life, it's perpetual. Life, it's forever moving. You cannot sit and talk about your things and hope for healing to come to you. You have to keep, once you have clarified, once you have identified the issues, and then you have to have somebody to give you the higher knowledge, or to help you get to a higher place from where you could actually have a higher perception and see better, and then give you the tools on how to address your steps. But then it's just a matter of practice. It's practice, and then feeling from one session to the next these quantum leaps that you are making in completely transforming your life. So I don't do healing. I don't believe in healing. I believe in education, because, as I said, as they showed me, and as I myself healed, I was dying of a condition medicine could not explain. I arrived at 48 kilos, and not to mention that I was in a chronic depression. I was barely able to have a shower in a week and to get out of bed. And I didn't take any antidepressants, but this is the thing that healed me, and that was knowledge. Once I've seen what the whole the shenanigan, all this sing and song, that all this saga that kept going, all this horrible narrative about who I was, about how wronged I was, about how not good I was, how not worthy I was, etc. When I finally seen clear from the first time, it was sharp as a knife through, and that was it. That was all I needed. And that's what you all need. You don't need years of therapy. You don't need years of medication. Again, as I said, I'm not pro or against any of them. all I'm saying is that first is responsibility. Take responsibility for your own education, to learn who you are, how you function, why you're in the state that you are. And then if you don't, at the end of that, if you have other issues that did not resolve, then it is obviously wise to seek the help of a medical professional. But as my friend and ex-client medic told me, 75 to 80% of all illnesses and of all troubles come from self-inflicted pain, either to poor life hygiene, to horrible diet, to poor diet, to abuse and neglect at all levels, emotional, psychological, mental, which is psychological being emotional and mental, spiritual, physical, and by lack of growing, by lack of learning. And when we don't learn, we stagnate, and when we stagnate, we go backwards, because by the simple fact, because everything else, life moves forward. So even if you don't move anywhere, you will just be always pushed backwards and backwards and backwards. And that is going to create, is going to add an extra level of stress and anxiety, because then to all your insecurities, to all your lack of confidence, to all your lack of self-esteem, you will see this huge gap that becomes bigger and larger by the day that passes between the place that you are and where the others or where the world is. And then you just feel defeated and give up because you think you're never going to make it. So when should you start? Yesterday. If yesterday has gone, then today is never too soon and never too late. It's late. We should have all been taught these things since we were babies. Our mother should have whispered these things while we were in their womb. They didn't know it. Now at least we know it, and we should do better. So what am I doing? How am I doing it? If you want to have a first taste, I highly recommend you go on Amazon and order Conversation with Self, God, Consciousness and Existence Explained. I'm going to put a link in the description section below. You will see the whole parcours that I did since leaving law, and then everything going all to up to the moments when I speak to Source, to Self, and the teachings that they are giving us. Otherwise, for those that are battling in silence, and here, who I'm addressing, especially men. I love working with men, because you are the ones that we say that women have been wrong throughout centuries. It's true, but I believe that men have been wrong on so many levels as well, by the simple fact that we have interdicted them to show emotions. They've been told that to be a man they had to be strong and brute, and to a boy doesn't cry, don't be a girl. You've been wronged as much as women have been wronged. In fact, men and women, we've been kind of set against one another, each other, and both were victims in this bigger scheme that is taking place. So yeah, I love working with men, because there is one thing, it's hard as hell to crack you open, but God, once you open, you are a joy to work with. Unlike women, you are straightforward and you go for it. Women, it's harder. Women are having harder to accept their own shit. They try to make a woman to go to her darkest place, than to make her see the things the way they are, not the way she wants them to be. That's a challenge. But men, God, that's a joy. It's beautiful the way once you open, You go straight and you don't mess about. You go and you admit in full honesty and full-heartedly. And I want to work with men. I work with everybody, children, women, men, etc. Aliens, if you're around. It's because men still have this stigma. They still feel, because of what I said earlier, they are ashamed. Hell, I was ashamed as a girl, as a woman, when I was in London, thinking that I might be going through a depression. Forget it. I was ill of everything. I had all kind of psychosomatic condition creeping up, having operations trying to find out what was wrong with me. The doctors congratulated me for what a perfect body I had, that all my organs were perfectly aligned. Apparently I was an exhibit, a proud exhibit for the students in medicine to see. Yet they couldn't tell me what was wrong with me. I was suffering and scared of cancer and so on. I was creating all these kind of decoys, because this is what they are. That's the little puppy of my daughter, the latest edition. This kind of decoys to avoid going to deep within. So I needed a way to manifest this, obviously this energy, this sufferance had to manifest somehow. And if I wasn't open to admit it psychologically and emotionally and spiritually, it had to take a form that was easily accepted in society, and that is a physical illness, symptoms. So I know that there is a truckload of you out there suffering in silence, and my invitation to you is, stop doing that. You don't even have to see me face to face, to send, if not even with me, but just with somebody. Take few sessions by email. Writing, it's therapeutic in itself. It's amazing. Just stop suffering in silence. Open yourself up. You are amazing beings, but you can never have the woman that you want, you can never have the love that you want, you can never have anything that you want if you don't give yourself that part of you that you keep rejecting, and if you don't take care of that part of you that is crying for help. I'll have to close this video here because that puppy is annoying. I have to let him out. But yes, so if you have any questions, by all means, I'm gonna have the contact details there. Give me a shout, but do something and start this process of self-discovery. I promise you, it's incredible. Once you get to the bottom of who you are, you realize you've never really lived until you've met yourself, truly. So until next time, I wish you all the best, and then I'm gonna have to let the puppy out. Bye bye.